place was destroyed. But here in Ezekiel 30, he says this. It's titled A Lament Over Egypt. And it says, the word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, prophesy that this is what the sovereign Lord says. Wail and say, alas for that day. For the day is near, the day of the Lord is near. A day of clouds, a time of doom for the nations. A sword will come against Egypt, and anguish will come against Cush. Now Cush is the land even further south of Egypt.
Ethiopia, right?
Ethiopia area, okay? When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away, and her foundations will be torn down. Standing here, let me say that again. When the slain fall in Egypt, her wealth will be carried away, and her foundations torn down. Look at this. Was that a prophecy or what?
Ezekiel chapter what?
Ezekiel 30. 30.
It's on your
Reading.
And now let me pick it up again in verse 13. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will destroy the idols. See any idols left here? I will destroy the idols and put an end to the images of Memphis. We were in Memphis. That was close to Saqqara when we were there. That was Memphis. I think Ahmed talked a little bit about Memphis.
She has a question. Who destroyed Egypt? Wasn't it Babylon?
Yes. Yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
You know, after hearing this from you, initially I thought that Joseph was sent to Egypt, or he ended up in Egypt. Was it by chance or was it by divine intervention? But after hearing this from you, it seems to me that there was a plan for him to be in Egypt.
Obviously.
What was
You said that
Joseph's commentary? What was his conclusion at the end of his?
At the end of the
he says he wants to go back to
No,
send
but
the bones
Joseph,
back.
how did he, when his brothers were frightened after Jacob died, they were afraid that Joseph will revenge. So what was Joseph's response to the brothers?
Sent here for a reason. He said he meant it for his evil.
But it was God.
God.
You see?
Yeah.
It was God who led me here. So
Right.
Joseph himself determined it was divine.
Yes. So it was definitely God, and God using what evil people did. He used it for his good. You meant it for evil, he said, but God meant it for good. So let me continue here in Ezekiel 13. Ezekiel 30, verse 13. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I will destroy the idols, put an end to the images of Memphis. No longer will there be a prince in Egypt, and I will spread fear throughout the land. I will lay waste to Upper Egypt. Where's that? No, this is lower.
Yes,
Yeah, Upper Egypt. And I will set fire to Tanis, to Zone. Zone and Tanis are the same place, same thing. I will set fire to here. Okay, and inflict punishment on Thebes. Thebes we're going to in a few days. That's Luxor. We'll be in Luxor, ancient Thebes. I will pour out my wrath on Pelusium. I would be really surprised if you know what Pelusium is, where it is. Okay? If I get my direction straight, is that north? So that's the Mediterranean. Okay? And then a little bit over that way, along the Mediterranean, which is in that gateway on the way to heading around to the Promised Land, heading around. That's north. It's okay, sorry. But along the Mediterranean, heading toward Israel, is a fortified city called Pelusium. It was one of the first gateways, cities protecting Egypt from invaders that we've been talking about a lot. People coming down from the Hittites area. Remember, Israel was never that strong because so many big armies kept crossing in the middle of it. The Hittites would come from the north and fight the Egyptians and conquer Palestine. The Egyptians would come back and fight through Palestine to fight the Hittites. And you had all these battles happening, and a lot of them in this little valley called Megiddo. Have you heard of that valley?
Yes.
A lot of those battles would happen there between the Hittites, Egyptians, and all these nations fighting. So Pelusium is one of those gateway cities to keep the invaders from coming down into Egypt. The stronghold of Egypt. I will pour out my wrath on Pelusium, the stronghold of Egypt, and wipe out the hordes of Thebes. I will set fire to Egypt's Pelusium, will writhe in agony. Thebes will be taken by storm. Memphis will be in constant distress. The young men of Heliopolis and Bubastis, the place just a little bit south, that I guess south is here, if he said north is here, that we're hoping to go to. And Bubastis will fall by the sword, and the cities themselves will go into captivity. This is Ezekiel's prophecy, 100 years before it actually happened. Okay, and now we can see the evidence of how God fulfills prophecy. Look at this, the foundations themselves are gone. There's nothing left. The only things standing are things that recently people put back up again.
Like
This-
the Ramses statue at first. Right?
Exactly. It just, everything was knocked down according to the prophecies of
So
God,
including the obelisks.
including the obelisks. We're all laying just like this obelisk right here, laying on the ground. Okay? So this happened another 300 years. This is an important place. We have Joseph and the children growing up here. We have that later, 400 years later, the captivity, the slavery with Pithom and Ramses just down there a little ways. And then we have Shishak, another 400 years later. Shishak and Rehoboam fighting Israel. And then another couple hundred years later, we have Ezekiel talking about how this whole stronghold will be completely destroyed. And we can see it here now, that it's just in ruins. And there's just one other thing, I'll do it here, a fifth connection here. And this goes into the realm of maybe a little Coptic mythology. The Coptic Orthodox Church here believes that in this town, this is where Jesus, Mary, and Joseph stopped. Because remember, this is one of those towns on your way down to Cairo. Cairo wasn't a city back then, but on their way down, that they would have stopped. And so there is a church here that has a shrine to a well that they believe that baby Jesus, toddler Jesus by this time, toddler Jesus touched the well to make it pure water. And that Jesus, Mary, and Joseph did a long journey through Egypt. There's actually 24 stops, according to the Coptic traditions, that they had all along the Nile. I've been talking to Ahmed here. Someday we might put together a tour of just all of these stops where Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. They went as far south as Asut. That's how far, the last south, and that's just almost to Luxor, not quite to Luxor. And then there's a church in Asut where it says that the angel of the Lord came back to Joseph and told him it was safe to go back to Israel. So there's a church built there about the annunciation of that angel to Joseph to come back. So 5 connections with this area. All right?
By the way, I was